Hey guys, here's my gear for today. We've got the Declaration Grooming B4 knot in a That Darn Rob handle. We've got a new soap to me. It's an old one that was released back in 2016 or something like that. I'm pretty sure it's the Glissant formula from Barrister and Mann, and it is Fireside. So looking forward to trying that guy out. Glissant, great performance, just terrific, even by today's standards. I love it. It's not one of those that's focused on moisturizers quite as much as Excelsior and Soft Heart, but I don't care about that. So I'm a fan of Glissant. Now, we've got the Karve Christopher Bradley razor, and this is a solid bar A, and I believe that is what I was having good luck in using with my Nacet. That's right, we're going to bring back the Nacet for some shaves. I may keep going with it, and if I do that in June, I'll hit 400 shaves with the Nacet blade, if the Nacet lets me go that far. And June is the Lather games. Sometimes I like to hit big milestones during special months like the Lather games or austere August when we're using all the same gear. So the Nacet, since it's been a while since many of you guys have seen it, I started off with this blade, I'm pretty sure, in 2018, and I was just trying to make it last the month of August, for austere August of 2018. And I managed to put 300 dots on the envelope, as you see here. And just about every shave has a video. Maybe one or two were missed. And then after 300, I started keeping tabs on this index card. So if we count by tens, we get down to 60. And then this is the shave we're about to do, 368. So this will be funny. This will be interesting because last time I used this blade, it was maybe August of last year. So it's been a few months. And I have gotten out of the habit. I forgot because you know what? I pulled the blade out and I looked at it and I forgot how I had dropped it. Right here, you look at that on the blade edge right there. See how it's bent a little bit? I had dropped it and bent the blade. And then it's got almost a little tweak right there that sometimes you can see and sometimes you can't. I did put the dots on it there to show that it's the same blade. And then, and here's the funny thing, when I start over with this blade, I believe I always start with the dots toward the handle. I just decided as we disassemble the Karve here, I decided that I would always, when I started with this blade, like I said, I didn't know how long it would go. I didn't even know if it would go a month. I definitely didn't think I would be sitting here in 2021 about to use it for the 368th time. I decided as an experiment, just for scientific giggles, let's only use it on one side. And so I put it in the razor with the dots facing away from the top of the razor. And yeah, so that's how I remember which side to use. There is one time that I forgot about that. I resumed after a while of not using it, forgot, and I actually shaved with it once on the opposite side, but all the other shaves have been, there we go, with the dots facing toward the handle. And this is proof, to me at least, that it doesn't matter if you flip your blades. There are some guys out there that flip their blades on a regimented schedule. And if I can get 368 shaves, reasonable shaves, out of a blade by not flipping it at all, then I don't think it really matters if you flip it. And especially if you're going to stick to under 15 shaves. Anyway, that's that's been an interesting thing to think about as we've been moving through this. Now the Barrister and Mann Fireside. This will be my first time using it. It's a new soap to me. I did buy it used, and I was very interested because I'm very familiar with all the products that Barrister and Mann offers, and I didn't know where this one came from. I realized that it was because it was older, and it definitely has that pungent. It's supposed to have kind of a cognac scent of cognac oil. I'll read to you about it once I have an old phone here, and I thought this would be my link. It's a Wi-Fi phone at this point because it's so old, and I made a little interface with my website so I can read to you the description. And this was hard to find information about this scent. It was really hard. So the brush has been soaking for a few minutes in water. I'm going to get my face and put some water on it. All right, now let's load up the soap. It's not a scent that immediately jumps out at me as desirable and attractive. All right, we've still got plenty of water in there. Let's go for 30 seconds. And we'll start at 35, so we'll stop at 05. It immediately turns kind of a dark tan color here. Since it could possibly have been quite a while before this was used. 30 seconds, let's do 40 seconds. So instead of 05, we'll go to 15. Because it sometimes the length of time there dries off that top layer, and you have to just give it a little bit extra time. May not be necessary at all. And there we go. It still maintained a nice wetness as I was working with it here, so hopefully that was able to pull up enough soap. I still got that mark from yesterday with the Kamasori Style Artist Club. That was a real abrasion. It wasn't just a simple cut. I managed to track down with this Fireside scent the description that Will kind of put out as he was announcing the scent or describing it, or somebody was quoting Will, or something like that. And so let me get that as we're about to start whipping the lather together. Will I be able to read it at the same time? It will be down in the description of the video here. I don't think I can read that far, so let's just take a second. So 2015, December of 2015 apparently is when this soap was released. And he said, cognac is made by distilling fermented grapes, known here in the U.S. as wine, and aging the resulting liquor for at least 2 years in barrels of a certain origin. Exactly where depends on the type of cognac. After the distillation is complete, a precipitate known as lye de vin remains, from which a product called cognac oil, quote, is distilled. The compound has a powerfully fruity, alcoholic aroma, and frankly smells so much like its beverage cousin that most people would be unlikely to tell them apart. It seemed logical that a shaving soap made with the oil would be a remarkable thing indeed. So pretty cool, huh? So Cognac by the Fireside, I guess, is the goal here. And Will continues. Thus we blended cognac oil, cedar, lime, and touches of vanilla and sweet fennel to produce a scent incredibly reminiscent of the real thing. So the woodiness from the Fireside aspect of it, coming from the cedar, obviously. Hopefully a little bit of vanilla, lime, fennel, and then of course the cognac oil. I think that fennel, doesn't fennel kind of have like an anise kind of scent? I think that fennel might be really coming out at first here. And to add water, we'll be pouring from this 40 milliliter jigger. All right. Looks like we do have kind of some lather concentrate building up here, so that's a good indicator that maybe we were able to pull up enough soap. And there's not tons of it, and so I might be very glad I decided to go 40 seconds load instead of just 30. Pouring with a jigger on a cognac scented soap feels very appropriate. Now let's tilt you down during the lather building phase. I just heard from Mann, what was his name? Sorry, I addressed many comments today, tried to catch up on some of my YouTube comments, and so unfortunately I don't remember who was saying. He wrote in how he was very glad to get the bowl, and he was grateful just for me providing the information. You can download the plans. There's a link on the description of this video to the plans page where you can download that, and then there are 3 sizes for this bowl. This is the extra large size, and that's my preference, and with a brush as big as this one, I use up every bit of this bowl. If you tend to use synthetics that are very stiff or smaller bore brushes, then that might be a reason to maybe order a smaller size, perhaps. But he was also saying that he was able to find it. I think Craft Cloud was the site that he used, and he had it printed for $15 plus $10 shipping, roughly. And I think that's a great deal for what I consider a near perfect lather bowl. There are a few things I might like to tweak, and so who knows, one day down the line here I may download a 3D modeling piece of software and put together my own file. Now, from what I understand, the files that if you go and you download the ones for this one, I don't know that they can be converted into a working file that you can edit. But I am kind of new to that. I'm not new to illustration and Photoshop kind of things, but I am new to 3D stuff. And I don't know if there is a program that can open those files. If so, I would definitely start with this one and just make a few changes from there. But I thought, I was very grateful that he provided the cost there. What a great, he said they made it and shipped it pretty quickly, so very nice. And some people I know, depending on the settings that you choose online, that can really change the cost. Look at all that. Well, maybe it looks like I could have done with 30 seconds instead of 40, right? Let's just see what we have here. Oh, that's got some nice movement, elasticity there. It does have some structure, but you know what? Let's just roll with this here. And I'm going to rinse my face. No shower before the shave today. Just what you saw me do with the water, and then also putting a little bit of the suds on my face. early on. I'm going to have tons of lather here. Now, we will see if this the shave that I got yesterday with the Artist Club style shavette connoisseur kind of thing. We'll see if it's going to leave any residual irritation. Now this is kind of normal. If I've got oily skin, which I do, then to have a lot of suds around the side of the brush and nothing in the middle, that is normal. What you can do is kind of rotate the suds by doing that. Rotate it off the side and then press that blank spot right into it. Face latherers have to do that quite a bit. It looks like it's pretty concentrated. So it probably could use some water if I wanted to, but I'm just going to go ahead and use it. And so we may see excessive chunks be launched into the air because they don't have anything else to hold on to. Wonderful tips, soft tips of this B4 knot. Easy splay though. So funny that B3 is well known as the scrubbiest, the potentially scritchiest version. And I definitely would avoid that one because even most other ones have a little too much backbone for me. And so the B4 is my favorite. Then the B5 can also work depending on the height, the loft at which it's mounted. And those are pretty much right now the only ones I've been able to, oh, and then the B9A. I found one that was lofted a little higher, and it's good. So it's kind of like the B5. It has to be lofted right. Its tips aren't as soft as the B5, and so it's kind of my third favorite so far. All right. Do I smell any of that lime? Oh yeah, a little bit. That fennel is just too strong, and I'm not getting enough of the cognac, I think. A little bit of the woods, a little bit of that cedar. All right, here we go. 368 uses with the Nacet. And this may mean a 4-pass shave. You know, I've learned quite a bit, as you might imagine, with this blade. I've learned that in the beginning, it, like pretty much any blade, it, you know, did well. And then at about 30 or 40 uses, it liked it if I switched it out and didn't use it with mild razors. But started to increase the aggression. But then a funny thing happened. Well, no, let's not say that quite yet. And so I proceeded through kind of my whole razor collection, especially the mild razors and the medium aggression, and then the medium aggressive settings of different adjustable razors, like moving up in the Karve base plates, moving up in vintage Gillette settings, you know, things like that. There was definitely some tugging here on that first pass, but pretty well, pretty good. And we'll just rinse. And I do feel plenty of stubble that is yet left to be cut. So we are looking at gradual beard reduction here. So I was using mid-range settings and mid-range razors, no longer using mild ones. And then I got to use more aggressive razors and settings, including a couple that I was never really able to use except with such a high mileage blade. My charcoal goods, not the everyday, but the normal, the Generation 1 or whatever we call the OG. I was able to finally use it for a while. My timeless 68 open comb was wonderful during like the 200s and maybe a lot of the 300s. I can't really remember exactly. We're going to do another with the grain pass. And this one's a lot more comfortable. A lot of blade buffing. I am stirring up a little bit of that tenderness from yesterday. But then, you know what happened? Somewhere after 300, I started revisiting and trying mild settings and razors. And this Karve, I believe it's at the A, all of a sudden it started working again. How about that? Now this is a pleasant feel right now. It's just that first one that just has a little bit of tugginess to it. And when you're doing a marathon like this is not the blade to be putting more than one day of growth on. You'll definitely feel it in the tugginess, for sure. And a rinse. Yeah, I opened up that guy, but see, he's not bleeding yet. I think I just kind of got into him just a little bit because after all, it is shaving. It is a blade. And so it's really funny once you get a blade to 100 uses, much less 367. And then you hear people say that a blade won't last them 3 shaves. Well, maybe they are just really wanting to keep with that keen, super sharp edge, that sort of thing. And they're within their rights. It's their hobby, right? So we don't need to, those of us who like to hype mile blades, we do not need to put on some kind of high airs and think that we're magical beings. Everybody does it their own way, and that is just fine. But I have used this platform of putting so many shaves on to expose a lot of different people to the idea of destroying that myth of 3 to 5 shaves before you pitch a blade. So many people started the hobby, heard that from people, and thought that was a hard and fast rule. And I like the fact that we can blow that myth apart for a couple of reasons. Number one, people often find very smooth shaves, especially on use number 3, but sometimes use number 12. And that's a lot farther than a lot of people often go. Another reason is sometimes to get a blade to last a little bit longer, it's your technique that has to improve. And so I've had people, several people tell me about how they kind of kept working on their technique to see if they could extend the blade life. And the byproduct was the extended blade life. And the real achievement was the better technique. And so then their shaves, even if they chose then not to go 20 uses on a blade, they would just go 5. But they were having more enjoyable shaves during those 5 shaves. And that makes me happy. It's great. Now, we'll do a cross grain, now that we've done 2 with the grain. A good bit of stubble is still hanging around. I do plan on stopping if I am, and here's what I've always said is my rule. If I am not getting reasonably close shaves, in a reasonable amount of time. You know, I'm not going to do a 9-pass shave to try to hit some marathon mark. I'm not doing it just to make some big number. I mean, I'm not saying you shouldn't. I mean, why not? If you want to do that. But I'm just trying to do normal shaves. And so now I will do a 5-pass shave. Because at that point, the passes are usually kind of quick. And so I don't think that's really abnormal. All right, so that's 3, 2 with the grain and 1 cross grain. Now maybe the Karve is no longer, you know what, I could have been using the Karve open comb. That might have been what I was using before. I can't really remember. But I did bring some different razors, and I may play around with the Nacet and see how things are. So we soldier on. I feel fairly smooth, but I still feel the tips of a good many stubble hairs. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's that fennel that is kind of the main note. You could probably make a case that there is some kind of a cognac note in there, but it's not. It's kind of hiding, to me at least, maybe it seems. Or maybe my nose just doesn't know how to reference cognac yet. I've only tasted it once or twice. Cross grain again. And this is very comfortable. In a sense, it's nice. I mean, who doesn't like to use their brush more? Who doesn't like to spread on more lather? Another reason I'm doing this is because if there are some people out there who are having trouble affording shaving products, blades for instance, there are some blades that are nice, like feather, that somebody may be avoiding because they think of a one and done shaver, and that makes those blades a little bit on the expensive side if you're having a hard time making ends meet. But what if you could make the most expensive blade out there last 30 shaves? Then that becomes a budget blade. And I'm hoping that that also helps people, knowing that that turns, like I think a Balzano or a Kai are some of the most expensive ones out there. Perhaps feathers are kind of up there too. And all of a sudden, if you can get 30 uses or 20 uses out of a blade, then all of a sudden it's no longer an expensive blade. It's just pennies a day. All right. I feel like we're getting there. That's the 4th pass. Yeah, it looks like this base plate is not a good match for the Nacet, the old Nacet anymore, because while I don't feel any stubble moving my hands this direction, I do feel some moving it this direction in a few spots. Still a pretty close shave on my cheeks. However, my neck is not done very well at all. Some jobs you would not notice. Nobody would have a problem with this level of close cut. But let's just do a touch-up pass on my neck here. And then I may have to make a note that I should not revisit the Karve for a while with this blade. Also, I am being careful to keep my technique pretty much the same as when I have a younger blade. I'm keeping that light touch. And so that is why I can switch back and forth between a 300 use blade and a brand new one and not booger myself up, because I'm keeping that light touch. Yeah, one of the things I'm not doing is bearing down harder to get this old blade to cut well. I'd rather do another pass or just quit with the blade. And that is how my technique can stay the same whether I have an old blade or a new blade. One thing that does change is the buffing. You know, you'll see me do that a lot more with this older blade. Also, if I haven't mentioned it in a while, SugarDaddyShaves.com has a page on it about marathon secrets. And I've done a lot of thinking during these 367 shaves, and I've put just about anything I can think of relating to how I'm able to get so many uses out of a blade, things that I feel pretty good information-wise, reliable information, but then I'll also remark about some other pieces are just theories and guesses, because after all, my next nearest blade is like 63 uses. And so I focused a lot of energy on marathoning this particular Nacet. And so it's not like I have other 300 use blades to kind of compare. I don't have a control and then something to experiment with, So much of it is theories, and much of it is also sounded off of other people and conversations and observations and educated guesses and that sort of thing. All right, well, my face does not feel, after what, 4 passes, lost count. My face does not feel irritated. The soap is doing its job. I've got a nice, slick layer. The razor is moving easily around on my face. I do have a pretty good 5 o'clock shadow down here on my neck, and I'm just going to leave it and just not revisit this same razor. I'll pick something else, and not try to chase anything down more, lest I stir up some irritation. So this soap, yeah, I think if you're big into fennel, that has to be my guess for the main note of this. Performance was excellent. It was a little bit dry. However, what you can do is leave your face extra wet after the rinses, and then that starts to change the lather as you go more and more. And look, we've still got plenty of lather if I wanted to keep going. So, a happy shave. Welcome back, Nacet. Oh, you know what? To heal myself, during one of my bulk purchases, somebody sent along a tester of unscented sterling post-shave balm reformulation, test number 1. Now, I don't know when this was, but sterling balms are good, and so this just can't be bad. And so we'll just use it. And I thought, you know what, since it's unscented, this may be a nice product to use if I happen to have a soap that I'm really enjoying the scent of, and I don't really want to bring in a different scented balm after the shave. Now, this really isn't one of those soaps, but I just felt like using this and introducing this little tester to you guys. Somebody must have known Rod or volunteered to be a tester at some point, and then passed on the balm to me with a bunch of other stuff. And with the sterling balms, even the production ones, you do have this whiteness if you put it on without any water, and so it thickens up just a little bit because you use enough, but it will absorb and it will treat your skin very well. 6 minutes, 10 minutes is all it takes to sink into your skin and be all nourishing. Looking at about 22 milliliters of water used, and that is a little bit over 4 a little bit over 4 teaspoons. And that was a 40-second load. And for today's shave, where I had an extra pass, I believe, that was pretty much perfect. We'll see if this guy calms down by tomorrow. I didn't wake up the little wound here from the other day. That's good. But other than that, face feels great. A happy camper. It is suitable for me to use this beautiful That Darn Rob brush as we move toward the Lather games, because this was my prize for last year. Pretty cool. I don't know if I'm going to win a prize this year. I don't know if it'll be something as nice as this. Maybe it'll be a $10 gift card. Maybe it'll be nothing. But my philosophy so far the last couple of years has been just play like you enjoy it. I'm not trying to be super aggressive with some kind of strategy. As a matter of fact, I haven't even laid out my soap schedule yet. I need to get on that. I have a large soap collection, and I have a large sample collection. And so I hope I'm going to be okay and be able to meet all the different soap goals. But if not, my life has been really stressed lately, and so it's okay. I'll play how I can. You please come along if you want to. Play how you can. If you can only make 5 of the different topics, do it. Or take the 5 soaps that you do have and figure out how each one could be somehow twisted to meet the theme of that particular day, even if you have to invent some kind of fictitious story about it. That's entertainment. That's enjoyable. That's part of what the Lather Games is all about. So feel free to do that if you're so inclined. This B4 knot does have some gelling with the tips, and so that's why you can see the appearance there of the gathering of the tips together in tiny clumps. And then make sure that we get rid of all the excess water by a little towel stropping, and then opening it up, checking inside to make sure we don't see any soap in there, that sort of thing. These dense knots, you got to be careful with that. I don't want to forget to mention, as I just put the 368th dot here on my tally card, that I am not the pioneer of the over 300, of the 400 count. Myrna, M-I-R-N-A, and then maybe 183 might be it's pretty close, if I'm recalling correctly, to the username of the person who hit 400 before I am going to. He hit it last year, I think, maybe earlier this year, and I beat him to 365 by just a little bit, and then he kept going when I quit, and so he got to 400, and he went a little bit further, I think. I need to look at it. He may have gone to 415 before he stopped using his blade. I'm not really sure. I don't know when mine's going to stop. Now, I love the fact that he and I were working at it together. He stropped his blades a little bit on maybe his forearm or palm or something like that, and that helped to extend the life of them a little bit. I think he was flipping his kind of randomly. You know, he wasn't doing like me, where I'm always using it on one side. Now, whenever this guy does finally quit, I'm going to flip it over. I have no idea what's going to happen then. I think I'll probably get some good shaves for a while, but I don't know how long that while will be. Another 400? Probably not, right? But another 50, another 100? I don't know, but that's my plan. We'll see. Okay, face feels great. I'm happy with that. All that tugging sensation on that first pass, gone. No problem there. And you can also see that the BaM is absorbing, and you can still see a little bit of it, but it's almost gone. I have about 8 days of leeway where I could use another blade if I want to and still finish with 400 during the Lather games. So I may keep those as kind of safety mechanisms, you know, just in case I am not able to, you know, some disaster happens and I've left the blade in one location and I can't get back to use it or something like that. but so it's not quite a super tight deadline there. But that's what we'll see, and maybe it'll make it to 400. I don't know. If I keep getting shaves like this that are just a little bit too much length on them in my neck area here, fine. But here, a little too much shadow. If I don't find a razor that works with it, then I will quit, because that's one of my kind of rules about it. I'm not gonna get crappy shaves for another 400 uses. You know, I mean, what does that prove? All right, I think we're good. I've put everything away. The dominance here of what I'm interpreting is that fennel scent makes me think that it might not be a good soap for me. There are just so many other good options out there. I would enjoy using it if I needed to. If I was stuck somewhere, wouldn't be a problem. But I think even though it's cool, I like the fact that it's an older Barrister and Mann scent. I think maybe the scent is not for me because of the way maybe the scent has morphed over time. Maybe those top notes of the cognac have wafted away, something like that. I could try scooping it and digging under the layers to maybe see if there's some scent left under there, but I don't think so. I don't think so. Neat, really neat cover art. I like that a lot, though. All right, there we go. Happy with today's shave, and yeah, look at that BaM, pretty much all absorbed, and we're good. Nice, moisturized, very hydrated feeling in my face, and that'll get even kind of silkier feeling as time goes on. So I'm very happy with the Sterling BaMs, and yeah, I believe I summed up the shave pretty well. With the comfort was good, the closeness was good here and here, but a little bit too much left over here. And we'll see what razors I brought with me on this trip and see if any of them feel a little bit more aggressive or something like that. Maybe that's what we need to try now. We talked about the soap smell. Performance was excellent. Glissant, come on. A few years old. It's still great. It's tremendous. All right. Well, all the best for you guys. Here we go. We'll shave a few times with the Nacet here, see what happens. And I'll need to prep this weekend for the Lather games. Try to find the soaps that I need to use, that sort of thing. And maybe there's enough time if I have a friend that needs to send me a smush of a soap. They might have time still to do that in an emergencies case. But I don't want to put too much pressure on folks, right? And at the late stage. But I should have been planning a little bit earlier. But, you know, like I said, life gets busy. Take care, guys. Nice shave today. I hope there was something in here for you. I don't know that too many of you are using a 368 use blade, but maybe there's some other things to learn along the way also, right? And I know that some of you guys, at least last year when I was using this blade, were enjoying watching the Nacet live its life. So there we go. Hopefully we enjoy the next phase to get to 400, see if we can do that. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves, and all the best to you guys. And Seth, he was telling me in the comments that he got his COVID vaccination, and that's really cool. I was able to provide him with some firsthand info there during just me talking with you guys, and that helped him to go in and get that. And so just remember that research right now indicates that if there are like 1% of the people might get COVID even if they have the vaccine. But that means 99% of the people are going to be prevented from getting COVID if they have the vaccine. And even of that 1%, those people are going to have an easier time of the virus, of the experience of the sickness, than if they had not had the vaccine. People aren't dying. People aren't having these horrible respiratory issues if they have been vaccinated and they get COVID. And so please think seriously about doing that. hope that it would help, and I think it will. Guys, take care. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Good night.